Welcome back. You are watching Newscentre. Our focus today on electric vehicles and Ather Energy. Ather Energy has launched an all-new refreshed portfolio with the 450s. A lot of changes have been made as well. It will be their entry-level variant. Joining us right now to talk about Ather's strategy for the future, upcoming launches, is Tarun Mehta, the co-founder and CEO of Ather Energy. Tarun, thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. Tell me about the 450s. How is it important in your portfolio? What changes have you made to the product?
Thanks, Parikshit. So we've just launched 450s, which is our entry variant on the 450 platform. 450 over the years has become a very good, possibly the best performance scooter in India today. But the thing was, the only product that we had, X, was really positioned at the highest end of performance scooters in India. It was really competing and beating the 150cc scooters out there. The largest market opportunity has always been in the 125cc equivalent category. So we wanted to launch a product, a 450, which could compete with a 125cc scooter. And that's what the 450s is. It sits very nicely at the price point of typical 125cc sports scooters, starting at a price point of 1,29,000, and has a performance that beats every 125cc scooter. And there are some serious innovations that we have done on the display technology. This is the first time ever in India that EBN display, an 18 segment display, has been launched. This is 3 times larger. Like it introduces completely new technology on the display side. It has a very powerful turn-by-turn navigation and a 3 times larger display with a 20 times higher contrast ratio than anything else in the market. So the idea always was enter the 125cc with the 450 product, but keep the DNA of amazing software and great connectivity still alive. And that's what we've done with 450s.
What about the battery and the range? How is it different from the other products that you have in your portfolio?
So 450s comes standard with a 2.9 kilowatt hour battery pack. In our testing, we expect its certified range is about 115 kilometers. We expect its true range to be about roughly 90 kilometers, which is at least 3 days of driving for an average customer. So we feel pretty good about the range. It'll come right now standard with only one battery.
Right. Now, you were one of the early entrants into the electric scooter space in India. The space is really heating up and heating up fast. What's your product pipeline? Are we going to see some more new products, new platforms in the next few months?
Absolutely. As you can see today, we've expanded the 450 platform actually with 3 variants now. There is 450X, and it has 2 range options, 110 and 90 kilometers. And now there's also 450S, which provides the entry-level variant. But in the coming few quarters, you will also see us launch a complete new product. We're working on at least 2 more products and a brand new architecture. So over the next year or so, you will see a spate of new announcements and launches. In fact, right now, we think we'll probably have a launch practically every 4 months for the next 1.5 years. So the product pipeline is quite robust and very exciting.
So you're saying 2 new products and 1 new architecture. Is it going to be the scooter space only, or are you entering motorcycles? Because a lot of electric vehicle enthusiasts have been asking you whether Ather is going to be coming up with a motorcycle or maybe entering the 3-wheeler segment?
We'll not enter the 3-wheeler segment. We are a consumer company. We'll build products for end consumers. So B2B and 3-wheelers are not for us. We are excited about motorbikes, but I think Ather has a particular reputation in terms of performance. And if you build a motorcycle, it's got to meet that bar. So we have a lot cooking right now, but the next couple of launches will be all about scooters for now.
Okay, all about scooters for the moment. Let me also ask you about the PLI schemes. Many companies are right now engaged with the government because they're finding it difficult to make investments because of the regulatory criteria. Only 2 companies have received certification so far. Many of the startups and even established players had been left out of the PLI schemes. Would you hope that there could be some sort of tweaks to the PLI schemes going forward?
I think PLI has been an incredible step. It is very clearly going to drive more and more local manufacturing. I think the incentives are very well thought through and they are very powerful. And I'm quite bullish in the next 3 to 5 years. The auto PLI in particular, because it's a very large PLI scheme, will drive not just more capacity, but also a lot of will also move a lot of suppliers to India. But you're right. I think the first round of PLI has had some gaps, and we are looking forward to yeah, you're right. We are looking forward to tweaks that expand the scope of PLI. Today, PLI, I think the way it was defined in the first shot, while outcome and the coverage is great, but I think a lot of very good companies could not just qualify because the definitions were left some gaps. So, for example, Ather, which has been the largest investor in R&D for electric two-wheelers now in the world, just couldn't meet the timing definitions. So we are hoping in the coming months and year, we'll see some hopefully good tweaks because a lot of the investment can be accelerated if companies like ourselves can qualify for PLI.
Right. I would like to ask you about newer investments, newer capacity, expanding your footprint, expanding your digital footprint as well. What are those plans? Because we have been seeing a ramp up from companies like Ola, Bajaj, TVS, and some of the other EV players in the market. Your sales were around 6,620 units in July. There is growth, but clearly room for more. Are you somehow... do you somehow feel that you're missing the targets or more needs to be done now, Tarun?
I think the last quarter was quite a bit of an aberration. Our sales were on a fantastic path. We had, I think, hit about 14,000 units for March itself. And even July, I think we were very close to 8,000 units. But you're right. I think the sector sort of stepped back a few quarters on account of some of the confusion around subsidies, chargers, and all the other stuff. But I think while the subsidies have come down, I'm very glad that at least the government moved fast. And what we are seeing is a very rapid correction back in the industry. So already on a current trajectory, we are seeing 10,000 a month, very likely to happen this month itself. And a very strong trajectory where I think the industry will completely catch up on Q4 volumes by the festive, and will likely start a very strong correction curve by November, December. So I think the way to see this, what's happened is a 2 quarters worth of reset in the industry, which is an okay price to pay to become less dependent on subsidies.
Right. In terms of adding more capacity, any more plans on that front, or maybe have more dealerships?
No, I think on the capacity side, we're well capacitized for now. Given that this 2 quarter slowdown happened, I don't think we'll need new investments in capacity this calendar year. But certainly we'll need them next calendar year because we expect growth to be very meaningful by festive. Especially with the launch of 450s at this price point, we are expecting market shares to move up much faster. We've gone up from, I think, about 10% market share to almost 15% market share in just about 2 months. And we expect that with S, we will likely hit 30% market share over the next year or maybe less than a year.
Right.
That is going to be powered by a meaningful store expansion. Our retail footprint now is about 250 across almost 100 cities in India. And we see an opportunity to drive that up to about 350 to 400 over the next 8-9 months.
Right.
So you are going to see a meaningful distribution expansion by Ather, and that's what's going to drive this market share up for us.
My final set of questions. You're working on a Series F round in order to raise investments. What would that be for, and how soon are you likely to close it?
So the unit economics for Ather has been always a point of strength, given our ability to command a premium, and also because we have one of the lowest cost structures for the same spec. But obviously the industry is still growing, so there's a lot of investment happening in new platforms, new products, and new infrastructure. So most of the new investment that we are raising is growth capital now, and increasingly it is less about burn. So Series F is happening, but obviously I can't talk about it now. You should hopefully hear from us in the next 3 to 4 months.
Oh, good. 3 to 4 months, we'll hear more news from Tarun Mehta on the Series F round. My question on your partnership with Hero MotoCorp. Hero MotoCorp has been a supporter and investor in Ather from the beginning. Is there a plan now to maybe retail Ather scooters alongside premium vehicles of Hero MotoCorp in their premium outlets? Because the company has outlined a plan to have select premium outlets in the country. Will Ather scooters also be retailed, maybe along with Harley-Davidson motorcycles?
Unlikely. We built a fairly strong distribution channel of our own. As I said, 250 touch points, 150 plus dealers. And these partners have made large, meaningful investments. Investments in our retail channels will, I'm sure, exceed 300-400 crores by now. So we like the channel that we have built, and it's very specific to Ather and the 450 lineup. It's more about performance scooters. It's more about the Ather culture, Ather ethos, which is distinct from other companies. So at this point, I think I don't think we'll necessarily be tying up with anybody for retail. And we'll likely continue with the Ather Experience Center strategy only.
Okay, my final question on FAME 3. CNBC TV18 is reporting that the first draft of the FAME 3 scheme is ready, and according to initial estimates, the government is looking at an outlay of 40,000 to 50,000 crore. But of course, this will have to go through several chains of approval with the Finance Ministry, the Prime Minister's office, and the Cabinet as well. How do you see the government's focus on electric vehicles over the next 5 years? Any key asks that you may have from Ather Energy, your expectation from FAME 3?
I think there's been a lot of negative press around the EV policy in the last few months. But if you step back and notice what's actually happening at a macro level, what we have seen in India still continues to be one of the best EV policies, for whether it's electric two-wheelers, three-wheelers, cells, batteries, anything. And I'm not surprised that there's a FAME 3 under conversation. I think the industry is becoming more resilient. We were all able to absorb almost 35,000 rupee impact to our margins and still stay strong. So industry is becoming more resilient. I think if subsidy remains low or even if disappears, I think the strongest players will still be able to grow. But I think if FAME 3 comes in and continues or even exceeds the subsidy level, I think growth will be quite catastrophic. Like the last 2 years, we've seen strong players grow almost 50-60% quarter on quarter. Those are some phenomenal numbers. And I think if FAME 3 comes in, there's a very good chance that rate can continue for another couple of years.
All right, that's all the time we had here on Newscentre. Thank you for watching and goodbye.